Oh, damn. It looks like I burnt this day. Sorry. I wasn't entirely sure if it could be heard in the first shot. Belphegor's Gas Mask Terror. Love that song. Absolutely love that song. I want to preface this day's vlog with look after yourself. Because apparently today I didn't. If you're not going to look after yourself, at least stay hydrated because, ooh, I forgot to do that today. So it's going to be a jumbled mess. It's going to be a jumbled mess. You know, because I get up and I do all my daily dad prep. As you do, you know, get your kids ready for school, shake your wife a bit, go out of bed, love, got stuff to do. And then your wife gets up, don't worry, doggo, we're going out for a shit. And then you take your dog out for a shit, and you take your kids to the schools, and you make everyone the stuff they need to be alive, and then you forget to do that for yourself. It was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I made a coffee for myself at breakfast. That coffee was sat next to me until 8 PM. I had a massive headache, felt absolutely brutal, and couldn't quite figure out why. I hadn't drank anything all day, Skaz. You've been dancing around all day in VR for hours. You've been chatting to people for hours. You've been walking around for hours. But damn, son, you forgot to put the fluids in the tank. What a nugget. What an absolute nugget. And I'll tell you now, you know it's bad when you then go to pour yourself a drink and just spray water all over your kitchen. And then you go to actually drink the thing and then just go, ah! And it just all over the floor. Like, that doesn't make explosions and stuff, but it felt like, I was like, dude, I feel like someone that has just woken up from like a 10-year coma and has no idea how to do anything. Like, what are you doing? Stay hydrated, look after yourself. That's the groove, the over, okay? Today is a weird one though, because it just seems to be a spiral of random things I've been thinking about today coming together. I'm going to recommend some bits to get into the VR because I've been thinking hardcore. My only goal for 2022, tech-wise, right now that I've got Belial my PC running, kind of, other than to buy a Steam Deck, is to kick someone in VR. I've wanted to give someone a solid booting in VR for a long time. I don't even have to actually kick someone and have them feel it. I just want to have my leg tracked and I want that leg to meet an object in VR and that be it. But so many of the people are like, dude, VR is well expensive. Yes and no. And so I wanna kind of go for the groove because I've been a bit scared the last couple of days because I've had my HTC Vive out. I've got my Quest that I need to remember to charge because I drained the battery in that today. And I've got my Vive here, and I was like, I've got my stuff set up for my base stations, and I recommend this to people who are starting in the VR. Depending on what you want to do, either one of these or its predecessor. Again, depending on what you want to do. But I got out my Vive, and the Vive has base stations. It's a base station tracked headset, meaning you have to put like infrared sensors around the room. And I live in a pretty cramped space. This is my VR space, it's my living room, and I've been terrified that someone's going to knock over my base stations. So, first thing this morning, before I hopped into VR, was I started looking for base stations. And I think I've actually, is that one unplugged? I think it is. One second, just reach over. Alright. This is an HTC Vive Gen 1 base station, and these things secondhand go for about £100, £130, maybe more, right? You can get the Steam Valve Index base station 2s. They're just upgraded versions of these with more range, I believe. You can get those in a kit of 2 for like several £100. As I said, to get 2 of these second hand, several £100, like probably a good 250, maybe more to get a set of these. So if one breaks, you kind of... But because this headset's well old and has been replaced with the Valve Index, you can get them on the cheap. In fact, this is why I recommend these to people. You can get these for anywhere between 150 and 300 bucks. Good headset. The lenses aren't fantastic, you will get screen door effect, and the Vive ones are fucking terrible, but as a gateway drug for VR, oh, you are so good. And it's a really comfortable headset, man. This gimp strap at the back just cups your melon just right. It's so good. But like I said, you can buy the full headset, base stations, controllers, all that kind of magic in a box for less than 2 of these second hand. Alright? This is a fantastic piece of kit because this is what came out before the Index for Steam VR and Valve. This was Valve's official headset at one point. Everything that works with the Index works with this. So if you go, oh mate, I could really do with some base station 2s, you can just buy a set of base station 2s and still use them with this. If you want to buy the Valve Index knuckle controllers, they work with this. You know, if you wanted to get an Index, just like the headset and the controls, they work with the base station 1s that you've already got with the Vive. If you wanted to go to a Cosmos Elite, they work with all the stuff that you've already got with your Vive. So there's a bunch of, like, this is like an expandable kit, in my opinion. And if you're into full body tracking, because as I say, I want to kick someone in VR, good fucking groove for 200 bucks. Plus, supported on Linux, mate. Out of box, Windows and Linux support. So, 'cause that's what we were talking about yesterday. The other option you'll have for a cheap headset, Quest 2. Absolutely fantastic headset. Great lenses, great resolution, minimal screen door effect. I mean, it's cheap. Standalone VR, meaning you don't have to have a powerful gaming machine to run it. You can just whap it on your head and you're done. If you do have a powerful gaming machine, you can either hook in with a wire and do wired PC VR, or you can use wireless because it's got Wi-Fi 6 in it, and you can do wireless PC VR, so you don't have to do the cable dance and strangle yourself like you do with the Vive. But oh, you're so good. And there's nothing wrong with getting strangled occasionally in VR, it's fine. This is like a rite of passage. That and tripping over that damn cable. Oh, I swear. But full body tracking and kicking people in VR, there's a set of requirements. And that's what I really wanted to kind of go on about today. If you want VR, the 2 cheap options are HTC Vive, really cheap as I've just said, or Quest 2, but you have to go a specific route. With the Vive, it's a base station tracked VR headset. That will mean your tracking, full body tracking VR options. You can use the Vive trackers, Tundra trackers, and I don't know if there's another base station tracker out there, but what that basically means is these are sensors that are picked up by these towers in your room, and they are tracked by these, and these just beam out like loads of infrared around the room, and you know, this is tracking these with these is pretty solid. If you can get 3 of these base stations in your room, you're pretty much sound. If you can get 4, fantastic. You shouldn't be lost at any point. Expensive. If you want to do full body with the Vive trackers or Tundra trackers with one of these, you need a set of these. This doesn't come with these, so that's a couple $100 right there. This does come with these, so you've got that sorted. Tundra trackers and Vive trackers ain't cheap though. They'll come into about £300 to £400 for the full kit, and that's like 3 sensors. With this, if you want to go that route, you'll have to buy the headset, say about 300 quid. You'll have to buy the base stations, which will be another about 200 quid-ish. And then you'll have to buy the trackers, another 300-400 quid. Expensive. With this though, If you want to go the more Quest-oriented route, you can use non-base station tracked via the dongles, which I believe, or trackers, yeah, non-base station tracked trackers. Those, right? I believe you could probably get away with using those with like the Index and the HTC Vive and any base station tracked headset, but I would imagine, because they don't require base stations, but I suppose you could mix and match with it. You have Slime VR, lovely open source project. I've mentioned it before, and that's, what is that? Is that? I don't know if that's Arduino based. Either way, it doesn't matter. But what that uses is a bunch of like accelerometers and magic algorithms and Wi-Fi to connect to a server on your computer, and a Steam VR plugin to then basically do the same jiggery pokery as base station tracked trackers, but without the base stations and not quite as accurate. Those come in at about $250 ish, maybe $300 for the kit for full body. Or you've got the, I can never pronounce it, the Haratori X, which is another setup which strangely resembles Slime VR but pre-belted. Slime VR is like a set of individual pucks that you charge, kind of like the Vive trackers, but as I said, they're not base station wise. The Slime VRs, you've got waist, legs and feet, and the X, whatever it is, does the same kind of groove where you have like a thing which then tracks your upper body, waist, legs and that. But the server program it reminds me a lot of Slime, but the X one is proprietary and Windows only. Slime has the added benefit of all of the software and actual hardware is open sourced, so you could compile it and run it on Linux too. So depending on what if you want to run your full body VR on Linux, Slime, or the HTC stuff, because that runs in Steam VR, which is Linux compatible. But if you're running the Quest, chances are you're not going to be running on Linux anyway, because that's a ball ache to get running. There are things to get running on Linux, but I'm now taking this way out of the scope of the tracky stuff. But sorry, I'm just babbling because I just got really excited about the idea of kicking someone in the face in VR. It's just, oh, yes, stress relief. Just trying to help people make a decision, because this stuff gets expensive, and if I can help people kind of save a bit of cash and get into VR and really enjoy themselves, groovy. Windows and dongle-less or base station-less, Quest 2, Haratori X, when you can get hold of them, probably not until about November, or you can go Slime VR. Slime VR has the added bonus of working with this and many other headsets, and is open source and will potentially run on Linux. So then in theory you could use one of these or an Index on Linux with the Slimes, but you'd still need the base stations for this, but you wouldn't need them for the trackers. They come in at a less than the, what is it, HOTOR and the Slimes coming at sub $300, I think. The Vive trackers and the Tundras come in at more, but then the headset for it comes in less. Linux compatible Index is Linux compatible, Windows compatible for both this and the Index. Pretty much Windows and standalone, mix and match, pick your poison. The downside as well I'm finding is that if you want to do full body tracking on this with stuff like Slime and the X, they ain't available till November, because the chip shortage is a global chip shortage going on right now. So they're cheaper, but they ain't available. These headsets no longer manufactured, but they're cheap and you can get full body tracking right now. Realistically, as I said, pick your poison. I am tempted to go the Vive tracker route because I would like to kick someone before November. But if you can go, if you really wanted to, you can go this and Vive trackers, but you must buy, or Quest 1 or whatever, you do have to buy base stations, and because of the way Oculus sets up its VR room scale, it's different from Steam VR. I think something to do with the center point or height point. You have to run a piece of software to basically join the two VR spaces together, because you'll be using the Oculus game space will be used to measure where your hands and your head are, and the Steam VR play space will be obviously measured somewhat differently and will be used to track your legs and waist. So software sticks them together, then you make adjustments. I think Slime just runs directly through Steam VR. That one just runs directly on Steam VR too. I would like to go Slime, not available. I would like to, you can build your own for Slime. They literally, because I say it's open source, all the parts and that are out there and available. I just want to get more people into VR, because I think it's a great laugh. Not even just the games, just being able to whack my headset on, and I tend to use this as like a phone. With some of my friends, we just, instead of just like picking up a phone and talking or going on to FaceTime calls, we go into VR. Because then we can actually do something. We become more engaged in the conversation. I'll tell you this now. The difference between a Zoom call and a talk in VR is night and day. If you're in Zoom, for the most part, I guarantee you, because you're sat in your house and you're going, "Duh," just staring at a screen or staring at a wall, you start to zone out. You mentally switch off because you are bored. You don't remember half of what is said to you in a Zoom call. I guarantee it. And if you say to me you go into Zoom meetings and you remember every word, you're a fucking liar. You're an absolute liar, because I've been in many and 2/3 of the time, I remember nothing. Whereas when I go into these VR like chats and stuff, because we're actually doing something, we're in an environment, an interactive environment. It's kind of like when you go to the pub with your mates. You remember going to the pub with your mates, you don't remember the Skype call you had with your mates beforehand. You remember it because of the environment, the sounds, the things that you did whilst you were there, whilst you were talking. Which means that you tie the conversation to actions and things in the physical world. Things that you would like doing. Like you might have been playing a game of pool and you remember that you whooped your mate's ass just as he said, like, "Oh mate, such and such was blah blah blah," and that kind of sticks together. Those two events tie together, gives you a trigger to remember them. Same kind of thing happens in this. Doesn't happen in Zoom meetings. It's one of the things why I really do like to encourage people to get into VR. So it's a completely different experience to a phone call or a video call or whatever like that. It's just so much better. So much better, and especially if you've got friends on the other side of the country in there. Or when we were in lockdown during the pandemic and that, you could actually get into VR, you could play games of pool with people, you could go bowling with people, we could play laser tag together. You know, yeah, I could fucking wreck my mates in Call of Duty or Quake or something like that, but it's not the same. You know, I'm piloting an avatar in VR. When my arms move, my arms move. Hopefully with full body I can kick someone, and my legs move and I can kick someone. It's just, it makes it more immersive. I know I'm playing a game. I don't get fully immersed when I play a game because I can see the edges of my screen. People are going to be walking through my house. They're going to be talking to me. In this, far more immersive experience. It's just better. But as I say, just want to get more people into VR. Cheap starters. If you're going to go for a Quest 1, Rift CV1, Quest 1, so if you're going to go PC VR, Rift CV1, Quest 1, don't bother with the Rift S, Quest 2, Vive if you want base station, Index if you want base station, or the Vive is the cheaper of the two options, and upgradable, expandable because of the cross-compatibility with all the other devices from the Index. Plus you can then update to the Cosmos Elite if you wanted to. I wouldn't bother with the standard Cosmos. I have one. It's a nice headset, just I don't necessarily recommend it for people to get into VR with because it has its faults. If you don't have a hulking great gaming PC, get a Quest 2. I do not recommend a Quest 1 for standalone because it's now long in the tooth and a lot of games just aren't being supported now. Because the chip in it's a bit, well, it's old, it's long in the tooth, it can't run half of the stuff that you want it to run. I was talking to Jubei, I was actually playing Zenith with Jubei today, and he mentioned like, because we were talking haptic suits. So like, haptic suits basically being these things that you can put on to help you feel VR, like they'll use motors or electrostimulus kind of stuff, like electroconvulsive therapy, where you ever seen those like weird like fitness things they used to use on people? They use them for people in hospitals who have had injuries where they attach electrodes to you and then they'll pump current through you and that will cause the muscles to contract. They're putting that kind of stuff into haptic suits so that when someone or to say interact with you in the virtual space, that will then cause the shirt, jacket, whatever, to cause muscle contractions to kind of give you a sense of feel. Oh, please let me kick someone in VR with that. We were talking about it and I just thought, you know, I really want to get into full body VR this year. Or like tracked VR. There's so many things I could do with tracked VR as well. Like, because you can use that as a mocap rig. It's fucking fantastic. The stuff you could do development wise. Cost savings. Like, could you imagine having to rent a full mocap studio, but you could just use a fucking VR rig with stuff like this, like a grand, and you got a full mocap set up. Yeah, just talking about all this cool hardware and just having a laugh with people. It just makes me think that I want more people to at least try it. And I convinced a bunch of my friends. They said, "Dude, VR's way too expensive," and I was like, "No, you're just looking at the wrong place. You're looking at £1,000 Valve Index. That's expensive. You can get near enough the same kind of experience buying a £200 HTC Vive. You know, it's not the creme de la creme of VR, but I mean, you don't fucking wait to learn to drive until you get a Bugatti fucking Veyron or Chiron, do you? You go, "Nah, mate, I got my dad's fucking old Escort or whatever, or my dad's old Golf GTI." You don't wait until you get the supercar or the F1 car before you learn to drive, and it should be the same with VR. Just grab a damned headset, a functional, capable headset, and go for it. Give it a try. Because it's brilliant. When I was sold on, I mean, I say that I'm the guy that has now tried every type of headset out there. You know, actually, I don't know about tracking for full body tracking for Windows mixed reality stuff. I guess you'd have to use stuff like Slime VR and all that for those too, because they're not base station tracked either. So you know, add that in. I've tried Steam style headsets, so Steam VR headsets, like dedicated headsets. So the Vive. Then there's like the Index. I haven't tried one of those, but I imagine it's very much the same. I've tried Rift CV1s, Quest 1s, Quest 2s, Vive Cosmoses, Windows Mixed Reality. I've tried all those. I own those. They're all pretty sound, and you can get some of them really fucking cheap. Windows Mixed Reality headset, $100. You can get into VR for $100. That's pretty fucking solid. You got no excuse. Like you can't say, oh, well, unless of course you haven't got a particularly powerful computer. But then for a couple $100, you can get one of these. You can just give it a go. Stop selling me VR, mate. You're doing a really shit job of it. I know, but as I said, this headache kind of sucks balls. I'm gonna say though, man, fucking. Fantastic food before that. Before the 1 minute you're awake, the next minute you weren't. It's like a chicken pasta bake with extra chicken. Oh, and then the next thing that woke me up. Oh, more food. So good. And my wife was a little upset today because she didn't get to play with the cherry picker to finish off her mural. So she bought a cake for the workers who were letting her use the cherry picker, and they weren't there. So she was quite upset, but cake for us. So, but I'm gonna head off. So I hope you're well. See you on the next one. It's just so sad that all I want to do is kick someone. Oh, this house is gonna get smashed to pieces. What happened to the telly? Oh, I just fly kicked it. Why? Because I don't know, my mate was throwing pool balls at me or something. I thought I'd kick him out of the sky.